Hello everyone, Marissa from the Neon Tea Party here. Today we're going to be learning how to make granny squares. So granny squares are an awesome beginner's crochet project. I just started learning how to crochet and this was the first thing that I wanted to learn how to make. Put those down. You could do a lot with granny squares, so you can make them as small or as large as you want, and then you can join them together to create anything pretty much that you want, like blankets, pillows, tote bag. I even saw a pattern for little like booty shorts where you just have 4 of these, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. Super cute. So as a beginner crocheter, I figured this was the perfect place to start, and so I want to show you guys how to make granny squares so you can get started with crochet too. So as you'll see, the granny squares that we're doing here today call for 4 different colors, but you can do a granny square in all the same color. You can alternate 2 colors. You can even mix colors together, which looks awesome. But today I'm going to be showing you how to make a granny square with 4 different colors. So I have my 4 colors of Omega Acryl here. If you're not familiar with Omega Acryl, it's a Mexican acrylic yarn that the weight is somewhere between, it's almost close to embroidery floss, but you can also use it for in place of any other type of yarn, and just use as many strands as you like to get the thickness that you're going for. So we are going to be pulling from the center and the outside today. It's a 3-ply yarn, and we sell it on the neonteaparty.com in our shop. It's our favorite yarn for everything. But each strand is 3-ply, and we're going to be doubling it up to have a 6-ply for this granny square project. So you're going to want to start by matching up the ends. Actually, you're going to want to start by figuring out what color sequence you want your granny square to be in, because we'll be starting in the middle and then working our way out. So I definitely recommend picking a pattern that looks nice to you. So we could do it maybe like that. Start in the middle and go outwards. All right, so for granny squares today, we're going to be using 4 different colors of yarn. We're using Omega Acryl today, which is a fine acrylic yarn from Mexico. The weight is something like an embroidery floss, but because the strands are 3-ply, you can use multiple strands together to get the thickness that you want. So it works as a thread and as a yarn. So you can use it for crochet and knitting. You could also use it for pom-poms and tassels, embroidery, friendship bracelets. It's super versatile and it looks fantastic crocheted up like this. You could use any weight yarn that you'd like. You just want to get a hook that works with the weight of yarn that you're using. And as far as colors, you could do, if you wanted, all 1 color, or you could, alternate between 2 colors. You could even combine colors, which looks awesome. But today we're going to stick with 4 colors to get this exact granny square look. And so I have my 4 colors here today. You just want to pick out the order that you're going to be crocheting in. We're going to be starting in the middle and working our way out. So I'm going to be starting with the pink in the middle and then working my way out with these other colors. So I'm going to move these out of the way. We're going to be starting with this pink here. This color is called Beguineville. The yarn is available at the neonteaparty.com and comes in 44 gorgeous colors, every color of the rainbow. But we're going to start by pulling from both the center of our skein as well as the outside, so we have both tails going, and you're just going to match up the tails like this. I'm gonna just throw this out of camera. And so we have our tail here. And so we're gonna start off, I'm gonna show you how to get your yarn on your hook. So I have my crochet hook here. It's a size H. And as I said, if you're using a thicker yarn or you know, making a smaller granny square, you can adjust your hook accordingly, but this one's been working really nicely. So to get your yarn on the hook, you're gonna start with a slip knot. Like, I don't know why I couldn't think of it for a second. So to make a slip knot, you just cross the end to make a little loop. So you have the end of your yarn on top of the longer strand that's attached to your skein, and then you could take your two little fingers, put them through the loop, and grab the yarn through the loop and pull it. And so now you have this little loop here, and this is what we're going to pop onto our crochet hook, and you could just pull it tight so that it stays on your hook like that. So that's how you're going to start any crochet project for the most part, as far as I know. And I'm going to show you how to hold the hook in your dominant hand. So I'm a righty. I apologize to any lefties out there. I don't quite know yet the best way how to hold the hook. If you're a lefty, I'm sure it's just the opposite, but I'm sure you can find a quick little video on how to hold your hook in your yarn if you're a lefty. So I'm holding the crochet hook in my right hand, my dominant hand. There's going to be like a little flat spot usually to hold it. And then your non-dominant hand, so my left hand, is the tension for the yarn. So you need to be able to have a little bit of tension to keep your yarn from like puckering, basically. So I'm going to just pull out some length here so that that's ready to go. And there's a number of ways to hold your yarn in your left hand, and I think a lot of it just comes from trial and error and what feels comfortable to you. I was like a total mess with my tension at first. It really took me quite a minute to start to feel comfortable holding my yarn. So just stick with it, try out different things that feel comfortable to you, and you'll get there eventually. So don't freak out if your tension is giving you trouble at first. So what I like to do is I like to cross the yarn over my palm so that the top is like up by my thumb. Wrap it behind my hand, and then take your pointer finger and sort of hook it around. So now you have, it's like wrapped around my hand sort of twice, which just slows down the yarn from pulling, because if you don't have anything holding onto it, it's just kind of floating around and it makes things a little messy. So I'm going to show you that again. Just cross it over your palm, wrap it around your hand, and then take your little finger here, put it under your finger, and pull it around. And what you'll see that I also like to do is I kind of go around twice. If I feel that I have a lot of slack here, I might wrap it around a second time. So again, this is how I do it. There's not, you know, there's a lot of like, I guess, etiquette out there, but you really just want to do whatever feels comfortable and works for you. So now I have the yarn wrapped around my left hand. The hook is in my right, and now you want to use your pointer finger, sorry, not your pointer finger, your middle finger and your thumb to sort of hold on to the knot over here when you're getting started, and also just to like check in and sort of control your crochet as it goes over here, because you're going to want to just kind of like guide it. So that's what these little pinchy guys will be for. So now we're all set up here, and we're going to now learn how to do a crochet chain. So doing a crochet chain is, as far as I know, the beginning of most crochet projects, and just, you know, sort of a quintessential crochet skill. When I was learning how to crochet as a kid, my grandma was teaching me. This is the step that I learned that I never really made it past. But it's super easy. You could also just make little crochet chain bracelets. That's what this little guy is here. Mixed up a bunch of Omega Krill colors. Makes a really, really quick and easy friendship bracelet. Literally takes like 1 minute. So we're going to be doing 5 chains and then turning it into a little loop, which is what we're going to use to start off our granny square. So here is how to chain. So you want to start by yarning over. So when you yarn over, and you could see my pointer finger here is like guiding the yarn onto the hook. So when you yarn over, you want to cross behind your hook from left to right and then bring it over. So you see how my hand is over here on the left with the yarn. We're going to just scooch on over to the right underneath our hook and then wrap it around. So the wrap on the top of your hook like this will be going diagonally upwards from right to left. And then you'll just pull, you'll guide that yarn over through the loop that was on your hook here. So we're going to do that again. Yarn over, we're going from left to right behind our hook, wrap it to the front, and pull through the loop. So now we have 2 chains. Let's do it again. We're going to yarn over and pull through. If it's feeling a little tight, like if your loop here is really tight around your hook and you yarn over and you can't pull it through because there's not enough room, just pull up on that loop a little bit, give yourself a little more space, and you'll be able to pull it through easily. And you can see that one little V here is a chain. So here we want a total of 5, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 so far. So I'm going to do 1 more. So I've yarned over and pull through. So now we have 5 chains, and we're going to close our chain to create a little loop. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So we're going to go to the first chain down here, the first one that we did, and we're going to stick our hook into that chain. So whenever you're joining or entering another row or entering a chain, you just want to go right in between the 2 sides, in between the V from top to bottom. So we're looking at the chain, like the top surface of the chain, and you're going to go insert in like that. And now you can see we have like a little U shape on our hook here. So I'm just going to neaten this up a little bit. I'm just kind of pulling on this to release any tension, wrap it around my hand again, get the little tail out of the way over here. And what we're going to do to join, to make our little circle here, is we're going to do a slip stitch, which is basically just yarning over. Get the tail out of the way so you can see. So I've just yarned over. That's again from behind. And I'm going to pull through that first chain that we entered and then pull through the last chain. So I've gone through both of those little loops here, and now it's closed. So in the next step, we're going to start with a chain to bring out to create our first little trio of double crochets here, which will start with a chain, and then we'll add 2 more double crochets. So I'm going to show you that next step next. Okay, so we have our little loop formed here that we made with our chain and joined together with a slip stitch, and we're going to now start off, as I said, our little trio cluster here, actually with chaining out 3. So every time we start a new row, a new round rather, the first little cluster is going to start with chaining 3 instead of a double crochet, which we'll get to in a second. So we're going to chain 3 here. So we go behind, yarn over, and pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. So we have a chain here of 3 attached to our little loop. And then you also note that we have this long tail that we're going to want to hide as we're going through this. You can also use a yarn needle and do this at the end, but I find it's really not that hard to hide this tail as you go, so I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So now we're going to double crochet, which is the majority of this project, as I mentioned, is double crochet and chain. So we just learned chain, now we have to learn how to double crochet. So I'm gonna adjust my yarn again on my hand. Always wanna feel nice and comfortable and sturdy. Okay, so double crochet. We're gonna start by yarning over. We're not going to pull through the loop, but rather we're going to take our hook, which has the yarn over, and we're going to insert it into the center of our little loop. And so now it's gone towards the back of like the underside of the loop. So we're just going to flip upwards so you could see, and we're going to catch this piece of yarn over here with our hook and pull it through the loop back to the top here. And as you do this, you just want to be like, basically you're lining up the tail with the chain so that you're going to be wrapping around both the chain and the tail at the same time to hide that tail. Okay, so now we're going to have, we should have 3 loops. So we have the loop that was already on your hook, we have the yarn over before we entered the circle, and then we have the loop that we pulled through the circle. So to do double crochet, we're going to yarn over one more time, and we're going to pull through the 2 center loops. So we're going to pull through 1, and we're going to pull through 2. And then here I like to sometimes just tug, adjust a little bit, make sure we're not too loosey-goosey. And to complete your double crochet, we're going to yarn over one more time, and we're going to pull through 1, 2. So that is your first double crochet right there. Okay, so we're going to complete our 3rd little double crochet in the trio. So as you can see, all these little patches are 3 double crochets clustered together. I know I keep referring to that, but that's the pattern here. So we're going to do one more double crochet before moving on to our next cluster. So again, we're going to start by yarning over. You're going to insert your hook into the center of your little chain loop. You're going to hook through, and you're going to yarn over again, and you're going to pull through 1, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 1, pull through 2. So now you see you have your first little trio here, yay! Okay, so once you're done with your first trio, we're going to create our first corner. So anytime we're creating a corner, we're going to chain 2. So I'm just going to yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over, and pull through again. Okay, so now we have our first little chain here, and it's time to create our second little trio double crochet here. So I'm going to show you the double crochet again. So you're going to yarn over 1, you're going to insert into the center of your chain, your little chain circle. You're going to pull through a yarn loop with your hook, and you're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through 1, 2, yarn over, and pull through 1, 2. So the thing with Omega Krill is that it can get a little splitty. It's not bad at all, you just want to be conscientious. So I'm going to show you what that splittiness could look like, so you know what to look out for and how to just like adjust for it. So you're going to yarn over, go in, pull through a loop, keep that tail out of the way, yarn over. Okay, so if you are pulling through and you get kind of stuck, like you don't feel like you can glide through as well as you should, you'll want to take a look and see, oh, okay, I missed one ply there, and just adjust that before moving on, and then move on to the next like pulling through. Okay, and we're going to yarn over again, pull through one, pull through two. So I definitely recommend that as you do the pulling through step, that you go through one loop at a time. So you can see how I'm going through one loop and then a second loop. Okay, so now we have our second trio here. Yay! So we're going to be making 4 trios to complete our square. So we're going to now do chain 2 again for our second corner. So chain 1, chain 2, and time to do a double crochet. 1, 2, 1, 2. Cool. And another one. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay, one more, yarn over in the center, pull the loop through, yarn over, 1, 2, yarn over, 1, 2. And you could see I got a split there, so I'm going to go through again to finish that out. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 double crochets. We are almost at the end here. You can see our little gap here needs its third little trio. Let's get that out of the way. And we're going to yarn over, chain 2, 1, 2, and double crochet 3. Over, and 1, 2, yarn over, 1, 2. Okay, yarn over, into the center, pull through. I'm feeling something sticky, let's see. Pull through 1, pull through 2, think I'm okay. Yarn over, pull through 1, 2. Okay, one more. Yarn over, center, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1. Oop, I got a split 2. That's what happens when you go fast. Yarn over, 1, 2. All right, so now we have all 4 of our little double crochet trios. You can see we've done a really good job hiding our tail as we went around, so eventually we're gonna trim that off, but it's nice and secure. So what the last step to do here is we need to join this little trio of double crochets here with the one here. And so the reason that we start our round with a chain rather than a double crochet is we're going to enter the chain here. So first we're gonna, because it's a corner, we're gonna chain 1, 2 to create our corner, and now we're going to join this chain to the starting chain from the round. So we're actually going to count to the 3rd chain from that starting chain. So again, it's a little hard to see, but I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and we're going to actually enter from underneath the chain. So you can see I'm going underneath rather than from top down. I'm going from bottom up. And you're just going to insert into the little chain there. And I use my thumbnails to sort of get it on there. So now what we're going to do is actually change colors. So if you were just to keep using the same color, you could yarn over or pull through to create a slip stitch and just keep going with the next steps that I'll show you. But for changing colors, we are actually going to do a slip stitch with our new color on our hook. So I'm going to show you how to do that next. So for my next color here, I'm doing orange. That's the color of this Omega Krill. It's just called orange. And so we're going to start our second round So I'm going to show you guys how to change colors so that you can start that next round with your new color. So the last step was we took our hook and we entered it into the starting chain from the round with the ending chain still attached. So we have two loops on our hook, and this is going to be the end of the Beguineville pink for us here. So we're going to take the orange and we're going to do another slip knot. So we cross our yarn, we put our two little fingers through, pull it through, have a little loop, and we're going to put the loop on our hook, pull it to secure, and now we're going to do a slip stitch through these two loops. So basically what that means is we have our orange loop on the hook. I'm gonna set up my yarn on my hand, my orange yarn, and we're basically just going to pull the orange through the two pink loops that are on the hook. So now we've changed over to the orange. And one thing that I like to do here, well, a couple things actually. So the longer strand, you can also just like make sure it's nice and secure by pulling on the long strand from your last color, and that just makes it nice and secure. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to take my little snips here. This is what happens when I try and cut with my left hand. And I'm going to cut off the pink to match the starting tail from the orange. I mean, it could be a little bit shorter too, but it just helps me visually, I think. And just like when we were catching the tail in the beginning here, and to make things less confusing, I'm actually going to trim off this tail because it's nice and secure. So just like we did that, this is a great opportunity to catch these tails while you're starting off your next round. So I'm going to show you guys how to catch your tails as you're doing your double crochets to get started, but it's essentially the same thing where you just want to like line up the yarn with the crochet so that you're hooking around it the way that you're going to be hooking around this. So anyway, okay. Now we're going to be starting our next round just like we did the first round by doing a chaining 3. So we yarned over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. Great. So now we're going to do 2 double crochets. So what we're doing, let me back up. The space that we're working on, or the area we're working on right now, is this little section here. So we're starting always in the top right corner, and we're going to end with this guy on the bottom right corner, and they'll join underneath these guys here. So we're going to be starting with this little trio and then working our way around counterclockwise. So now let's do our first double crochet for that corner, which will be the second guy in our little trio. So we're going to yarn over, and you see how we have this corner here. This corner is formed when we have the little chain space. So we've yarned over, we're going to go into that little corner there, pull our yarn through the corner, also catching those tails as you go. So we're going to be, I've like wrapped around those little tails as well. Yarn over and pull through 1, 2, yarn over, pull through 1, 2. Cool. So let's do one more. Yarn over 1, enter the corner, pull the loop through the corner, catching the tails while you do it, wrap around, pull through 1, 2, yarn over, pull through 1, 2. So now we have our first little trio here. Yay! Okay, so this is going to be a new step. First of all, the tails here, this is the most that I find that you can sort of catch them without seeing like the orange sort of come through. So I'm just going to move those little tails off to the side. At the end of this tutorial, I'm going to show you what to do with them at the very end. So for now, you can just ignore them. And so now we're going to be moving from one set of clusters to the next set of clusters, but we're not on a corner. So you see how these corners are quite long? Those corners are double crochets. But when we go from space to space, like on a side rather than turning a corner, we're just going to chain one. So we're going to yarn over and chain one. And now we're ready to create our new cluster in this next corner. So we're going to yarn over, enter the corner, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1, 2, yarn over, pull through 1, 2. And you see how I continue using my middle finger and thumb as like a little pincher? Keep doing that. So you're going to yarn over 1, go in, pull through 1, 2, yarn over, pull through 1, 2. All right, so we have 2 double crochets, 1 more for this cluster, yarn over 1, pull through, yarn over, 1, 2, yarn over, 1, 2. Cool. So now it's time to turn a corner. So we're going to chain 1, chain 2, and we're going to make another trio in the same corner here. So we're turning our corner. So we're going to yarn over, enter the same corner, yarn over, pull through 1, 2, yarn over, pull through 1, 2. And that got splitty, but caught that there. Okay. And I also like to push the little chains as I go to make sure that everything is like in the right place. So you could do that too. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1, 2, whoop, yarn over, pull through 1, 2, and we got one more. Yarn over and pull through 1, 2. Yarn over, pull through 1, 2. Cool, so we've turned our first corner. So you could see that square is starting to form with the orange. And now we want to chain 1 because we are on a flat side, not a corner. And now we're going to do another cluster into the next corner. So I've yarned over through the next corner, pull a loop, yarn over 1, 2, yarn over 1, 2. Pull some extra slack here. Okay. And let's keep moving. Yarn over into the same corner. Yarn over 1, 2. Yarn over 1, 2. Okay, third from the cluster. Yarn over 1, 2. Yarn over 1, 2. Okay, time to turn a corner. Chain 2. 1, 2. And then, whoop. You can always backtrack if you feel like you're getting tangled like I just did. Okay, so yarn over, go through the corner, yarn over 1, 2, yarn over 1, 2. So once you get the hang of it here, this is where it starts to get really relaxing. Okay, so wait, we have 1, 2. Oh, nope, we need to do one more. Okay, yarn over, through, and pull 1, 2. Yarn over, pull through 1, 2. Okay, and now it's time to do a chain 1 to move on to our next cluster, and next corner. 1, 2, yarn over 1, 2. adjusting as we go. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, 1, 2, yarn over, 1, 2. I'm going to do this next part kind of fast because hopefully you guys get the gist now. Okay, trio, chain 2, yarn over, enter the same corner, yarn over, 1, 2, yarn over, 1, 2, 2 more. Two, yarn over, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, all right, let's chain 1. Final cluster for the round. You can see our little square coming together, so exciting. Okay, yarn over, and we're gonna do 3 into this corner that we started on. 1, 2, yarn over, 1, 2, yarn over, corner, 1, 2, yarn over, 1, 2, last one, yarn over, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, you guys. So now it's time to, like we did for closing our last round, same thing. We're gonna chain 2, 1, 2, and now we're going to join our chain with the starting chain here. So we're going to count up to 3. That's the first chain, second chain, third chain. So we're going to enter the third chain here, underneath, right, insert into the chain. You can use your thumbs to scooch it down here, tighten up your orange, and now we're going to change colors for our third color. Yay! All right, so it's time for our third round and our third color. So I've chosen this really pretty light salmon is the name of this color. And I've done a slip knot and placed the slip knot onto the hook, getting ready to change colors. I also cut off my orange from the skein, and I'm going to hold these 2 fresh tails together so that when I go to change colors now, I'll be able to catch the tails as I crochet. So that's just like a little tip. Don't worry too much about that. Okay, so get my yarn on my hand, and I'm going to pull the light salmon through the 2 orange loops that are on the hook. Okay, so I pulled through both of those, and now we have the light salmon on the hook. I'm going to give the orange tail a little tug just to secure it down, and we're going to start the round by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. Made those a little tight. Okay, now same thing we've been doing. So we're gonna do a double crochet. Again, we're starting in that same upper right corner, that upper right cluster. So yarn over, we're gonna enter the corner up here, pull through. We wanna catch our little orange and light salmon tails as we do it. Yarn over, pull through 1, 2, yarn over, pull through 1, 2, and that one split. Okay, we're good. Yarn over for the third and final, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1, 2, yarn over, pull through 1, 2. I always find this first trio is like the most tricky, just because you don't want things to be too loose from changing colors, and you also want to catch your tails as you go to make sure that those are nice and secure in there. So just be patient with your first little trio. and, you know, take an extra few seconds just to make sure that everything feels secure as you're doing it. And then as you go around, it's a lot faster and easier, and, you know, you're not worrying about changing colors and things getting loose and all that. So anyway, okay, so your third round is going to be the first time you have single trio clusters. So you can see here we're on our third round, and so far we've had these little corners here, so they're in like duos of trios. But once you start your third round, you get these little independent trios that happen in between the corners. So we're approaching this one here. So, I mean, nothing that interesting or complicated. It's just we're gonna chain one in between the two, and then we're going to do a set of 3 double crochets. So we're gonna chain one, and time to yarn over, and we're going to go through this space here, which I'm not going to call a corner because it's not a corner, but it's just our first space. So we're going to go through, pull through, yarn over, 1, 2, yarn over, 1, 2. So you see now we're hooking into that that space there. So yarn over. Whoop. I feel like this, I made that chain kind of loose when I made that. Okay, 1, 2, yarn over, 1, 2. All right, one more time, yarn over to the space, 1, 2, yarn over, 1, 2. All right, so now we have our first little single trio cluster, and it's time to move on to this space here. So yarn over, chain 1, yarn over, space, pull through, yarn over, 1, 2, yarn over, 1, 2. Okay, and again you see I'm pulling and adjusting as I go, keeping our tails out of the way, so you can see what you're doing. Okay, yarn over, through the space, yarn over, 1, 2, yarn over, 1, 2, yarn over, 1, 2, yarn over, 1, 2. All right, so hopefully you guys are getting it at this point. I'm going to keep going around and sort of speed up the process here. But if you're unsure, just go back to the previous steps to see about turning your corner, which we're going to start with a chain 1, chain 2, and do 3 double crochets into that same space to turn your corner. 1, chain 2, and we're gonna go into 1, 2, 3, into the third chain in the round, whoop, and change colors. All right, so it's time for our fourth and final color. So I've done my slip knot with a new color, which is neon yellow. I have my 2 light salmon loops here on the hook, and we're just going to pull through both of them. I've already trimmed the tail on the light salmon. Let's get the yellow out of the way. And so I just like to give whoop, a little tug on the light salmon, make sure we're nice and secure. Pull the neon yellow all the way. And we have our tails ready to go to be crocheted around. So this last time around is going to be most similar to your third round. You're going to see that there's you're going to have 2 of these single clusters in addition to the corners. And so I'm going to just do this quickly. I'm going to hyperlapse here so you could see it all come together, and then I'm going to show you how to close up your final round and clean up your tails so you don't see them anymore. So let's go with our final round on our granny square. So our granny square is almost finished. Have a little tiny loop there. Oops. So I'm going to show you guys how to end your granny square. You can also keep going with as many colors as you want, but whenever you do finish, this is going to be the way to end it. And then I'm going to show you what to do with all your tails on the back here. So I have my open corner here. I chained 2. And so just like when you're changing colors or, closing up the round, you're going to find the third chain, 1, 2, 3. You're going to insert into the center of the chain. Okay. And so we're not changing colors here. We're just ending. So I'm going to start with the slip stitch. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through 1, 2. Okay. Give that a nice little tug there. And then I'm actually going to cut off this skein, and I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to just pull this tail all the way through like that and push down and give this a really nice tight tug. So that's pretty much it there. So you can go ahead, we're going to flip this over to the back because we're done. Okay, we're going to cut off the little tail there. Set aside your scraps for later. Okay, so now we have all these little tails from changing colors, and you could see that they're in pairs, right? Because you have the tail from when you end a color, and you have the tail from when you start your new color. So each one of these sections has 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie together each pair, and we're going to pull that knot so it goes underneath the little chain loops here, the little crochet loops. So what I like to do is whatever color the loops are, that's the color I try and make the knot appear. So in this case, I'm going to turn this to make it a little easier. I'm going to knot the yellow, the neon yellow, around the light salmon. So you could do that just by keeping the light salmon straight, kind of like when you're making friendship bracelets, and pull the yellow down. so that the knot goes underneath. And we're gonna do that a second time, so a double knot to secure it. So wrap the yellow around the light salmon, keep the light salmon nice and straight, and pull that so it goes underneath. And you may just want to like manually move those loops back over, and then you can trim, careful you don't cut your granny square, but just trim the tails close to those loops. Oops, I accidentally cut a loop, oh well. But you could see that there's no evidence of that knot there. Okay, so we're gonna do that 2 more times. So we're gonna tie the light salmon around the orange once and twice. Keep the orange nice and straight. Scooch that over. We're gonna trim. Okay, and last set. Okay, we're gonna tie the orange around the Bougainville pink. Once and twice. Oop. And there you have it, you guys. Little granny square. This little loop here you can do. I don't know. I'm scared to cut it. I'm just gonna tuck it. Anyway, that's our little granny square, you guys. Stay tuned to learn how to join up your granny squares to make whatever your heart desires.